Bird helps deer break abscess. Minutes later, something terrible happens. The forest woke quietly that morning. Mist clung low to the ground, wrapping around fallen logs and damp grass. In the middle of the clearing stood a doe, her coat dull with dust, her eyes wide with the ache of something deep. A round swelling bulged beneath her jawline, heavy and throbbing with infection. Each breath she took came sharp and careful, as if even the air pressed against the wound. She had been like this for days. The others in her herd had moved on, following the scent of new grass deeper into the valley. But she stayed behind, slower now, her neck thick with pain, unable to lift her head for long. Flies gathered where the wound wept, and she twitched weakly to chase them away. A faint rustle came from the branches above. A black and white magpie, small against the gray sky, fluttered down to a low branch, its head tilted, sharp eyes watching the doe's uneasy movements. It hopped once, twice, then landed on the ground, close enough to feel the tremor of her legs through the earth. The doe froze, nostrils flaring, but didn't move away. She was too tired for fear. The magpie edged closer, wings half open, giving soft, uncertain chirps. It pecked lightly at the grass near her hooves as if pretending not to look. Then, slowly, it reached the wound. The doe shuddered. For a long moment, both stood still, the deer trembling, the bird motionless but intent. Then came a sound, small and wet. The bird's beak touched the abscess, once, twice, careful, deliberate. The doe flinched but didn't flee. It was as if she understood. A thin trickle of pus slid down her neck, and the pressure that had built for days finally eased. The magpie pulled back, feathers ruffling, then pecked again, cleaning gently, methodically, with a strange tenderness only nature understands. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind softened, letting the moment exist untouched. The magpie worked in silence, removing what it could, then stepped back. The doe lifted her head for the first time in hours, exhaling through her nose, a soft, almost grateful sound. Relief showed in the slow blink of her eyes. For a few heartbeats, they stayed like that, the bird standing near her foreleg, the deer watching quietly, both bound by something wordless. The clearing smelled of wet earth and pine sap, the mist glowing faintly gold as the sun broke through the canopy. Then the bird fluttered its wings, gave a short call, and lifted into the air. It circled once above her, a black shape against the pale morning light, before landing again on a branch nearby, watching, as if waiting to make sure she was all right. The doe took one step forward, testing her strength. She lowered her head to graze, trembling less now, but her eyes kept drifting upward to the small bird above, the unlikely healer that had brought her a moment of peace in the quiet heart of the forest. The world felt gentle again, for the first time in days. Yet somewhere beyond the trees, a sound echoed faintly, the low growl of something moving closer through the mist. The forest, for all its mercy, was never without its tests. The forest mist had thinned, but the silence stayed. The magpie still perched nearby, feathers puffed from the damp air, while the doe stood a little taller now. The swelling on her neck had burst. The pain had dulled to a slow throb. She grazed in small, careful bites, every move deliberate, like someone relearning how to breathe without fear. A thin breeze drifted through the pines, stirring the grass. It carried a scent she did not recognize, sharp, musky, and wrong. Her ears flicked forward. Somewhere deeper in the trees, a branch cracked. The sound was not the wind. The magpie stirred, giving a low, uneasy call. The doe's head lifted, her dark eyes wide, nostrils flaring to catch what the air whispered. The forest held its breath again, the kind of stillness that comes before something decides to happen. A shape moved between the trees. It was low, steady, and silent until it wasn't. A young coyote, lean and hungry after a long night, stepped into the clearing. Its ribs showed faintly beneath its coat. Hunger had brought it too close to the scent of weakness. The magpie took flight, its cry sharp and sudden, echoing across the clearing. The doe tensed, muscles trembling beneath her dull coat. She could still run, not far but far enough if she had to. Her wound stung as she turned her head, blood wet again where the bird had helped her. The smell of it caught in the air, pulling the coyote's gaze toward her neck. For a moment, everything was still, like predator and prey, locked in the thin space between movement and choice. The magpie dived low, swooping just above the coyote's head. Its wings brushed the animal's muzzle, startling it back a step. The coyote snarled softly, snapping at the air, but the bird circled again, louder this time. Its cries were not random. They were warning calls, bright and fierce in the quiet morning. The doe took her chance. She bolted, not fast, not graceful, but determined. Her hooves struck the soft ground, scattering wet leaves. The magpie followed, darting ahead of her like a guide. The coyote lunged, then hesitated. It was early, its body still heavy with the night's chill. The effort of the chase would cost it too much. For a while it followed, moving through the undergrowth, but the sound of the bird's cries and the thudding hooves grew fainter. Soon the mist swallowed them both. By the time the doe stopped, her chest was heaving. Her wound reopened, but no longer swollen. The magpie landed on a branch above her again, watching, its feathers slick with dew. The doe stood trembling but alive. She turned her head slightly, looking toward the sound of its wings. For the second time that morning, the forest seemed to quiet around them. The danger had passed, but the cost was written in her unsteady stance, in the blood drying dark along her neck. The magpie let out one small, rasping note, almost a sigh, and flew off toward the trees. The doe watched it go, her breath slow and visible in the cool air. She did not know that in saving her, the bird had drawn too much attention, its cries echoing farther than safety allowed. Far behind them, another call answered, not the coyotes, but something heavier, older. A hawk circling high above had seen the magpie's dive, and what followed next would not be mercy. The clearing was still again. Only the faint ripple of disturbed mist marked where life and danger had passed through. The forest had returned to silence, but it was a silence that remembered. By midday, sunlight spilled through the trees. The doe stood beside a shallow stream, her reflection rippling in the water. The swelling on her neck had flattened. The pain was fading. She lowered her head to drink, trembling slightly but steady. Around her, the forest hummed with small sounds, crickets, wind, distant birds. Yet one sound was missing, the magpie's chatter, the one that had saved her. A single feather floated down from above, black and white, soft as breath. It landed near her hoof. She stared at it for a long moment, then lifted her head toward the sky. Nothing answered. Only the faint echo of a hawk's cry drifted from far away. The magpie was gone. Its courage had cost it everything. The doe stepped closer to the water. The feather lifted on the breeze and drifted into the stream, carried gently away. She watched it go until it vanished in the ripples, her breath slow and deep. When she turned back toward the woods, her steps were calm, her wound nearly closed. The forest had taken and given, as it always did. By dusk, she rejoined her herd. A fawn pressed its head against her side, and for the first time in days, she rested without pain. Behind her, the last light caught on a single feather caught in the grass, still trembling, still shining, a quiet reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can leave something eternal behind.